What is up, wrestling fans? Welcome to episode number 389 of the Smark Out Moment Smack Talk podcast, Hot Tags of the Week, where we will be breaking down some of the current events, the rumors, the news, the gossip, and whatever else we want to talk about that went down in the world of professional wrestling over the past few days. I am your host, as always, Tony Mango, and joining me, as always, is Robert DeFelice.
Hey, Tony, I gotta tell you, Snapchat let me know that you make a pretty decent-looking woman.
I do. I'm not that bad looking. You know,
No.
I'd be into me. Maybe I'll put that up somewhere for the Megamaniacs or something like that and let other people see. But I was like, yeah, I would dig me. If I came across me, I'd turn around, look.
All right.
That's the first Snapchat thing I've done in a while that I actually was like, this is a good platform. And then I promptly fucked off and haven't used it since. We got a lot of different things to talk about today. We got a bunch of sad and annoying things more than anything, but a couple that aren't all that bad. But, let's get into the one that is the hardest to talk about because it's, you can't really say too much about these kind of things, but unfortunately we have to talk about a passing, and it is that, I'm sure a lot of people know this story already, but Lucha Libre star Silver King passed away during a match this week. He was wrestling Juventud Guerrera, which, we've made lots of Juvi jokes. And I believe what the reports have said, and now they've came out, that he had suffered a stroke and then a heart attack, like one after the other. And there's footage of it out. I mean, he's wrestling the match, and he just kind of goes down. And he was only 51 years old, if I remember correctly, too.
Yep.
So I don't personally know anything about Silver King. Like, I have not even seen Nacho Libre. I have never seen any of his matches that I'm aware of. And he's not somebody whose career I have followed. But obviously, in any capacity, this is a horrible story to have to report on,
Yeah, listen, I did watch the video. It's easily the most disturbing thing I've ever seen. Because with Pedro Aguayo, with the Rey Mysterio thing, I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah.
That was an accident. With this, I'm watching the video, and my first words were, oh fuck, is he just gonna, because he hits an offensive move, he hits a clothesline. And I'm like, oh fuck, is he dying right here? And he's trying to get up, and it looks like he's selling, so you're not sure what's happening. And he's trying to get up, and then he can't get up. And then Juvi kicks him. Not sure what's going on. Juvi kicks him in the head and tries to roll him over to pin him, and he's just
limp.
Just limp and heavy, and you realize that he's dead, and I'm not the biggest Silver King expert, but man, that hit me hard. Just watching a person die like that.
Yeah, it's really sad because it's obviously, I hope nobody else, blames Juvi for anything, because it's kind of he's not doing anything to give him a stroke. He's not trying to make him have a heart attack. He's not sure what's going on, and he just probably thinks it's like anything else, where it's just kind of oh, he, went down and, maybe his arm hurts or something, and I'm just gonna, kick him because I have to sell this and whatever, and let's go home and just go for a pin and whatever. You're not thinking to yourself, this guy must have just had a stroke and he's having a heart attack right now. So I can't blame Juvi for anything like that. And supposedly, there were, no medical staff available for this thing. You gotta wonder if maybe if that would have been the case, maybe he wouldn't have passed away,
And that's where you get into the comparisons of Jerry Lawler's heart attack, who, thankfully WWE has the staff that they do. So Lawler's life was saved, even though he was pronounced clinically dead for 20 minutes. He's alive and well and still wrestling to this very day.
Yeah.
And it really speaks to, yes, we like backyard wrestling shows, and we like to, be these pirate things, but you need to have a professional organization, and you need to just take care of your talent.
Yeah, you need to have the ability to make sure that no matter what's going on, even though you prioritize the show and you prioritize everything from, like even like stupid things like music and lighting and entrances and whatever like that. The number one priority in any kind of physical activity type thing has to be safety.
And I know for Hoovy it's different. Like kayfabe in Lucha Libre is intense, and I don't blame him in any regard. I wish he didn't kick him, knowing what I know, but like,
and I'm
what are you gonna
sure
do?
if he knew what was going on, he wouldn't have kicked him too. Like,
Yeah, and again, Silver King hit a clothesline, like a
yeah,
jumping clothesline.
it was his move that was the last move, not even like that, Hoovy had thrown him and he landed weird or something. It was like,
That's
no,
what I was
he did the
expecting.
offensive thing. That's what I was expecting too. Like, that he was going to do some kind of flip and land on his head, or, he was going to take a power bomb and not be able to get up, or, anything like that where it would have made sense that, like, an impact move. I mean, a clothesline is still some kind of impact, but it's not really all that impactful. It's worse for
Right,
the
like
guy taking it than it is the guy giving it.
with Pedro Aguayo, he got whiplash from the rope setting up the 619. That was hard to watch, but you can understand what's happening there. With this, you don't even realize the guy's dying.
Yeah, it's really sad. It's really a shame. And obviously, condolences go out to Silver King's friends and family and all that. But, hate to start off with something like that, any kind of scenario. But hey, it's
Yeah.
important because, you need to be aware of these kind of things. So, and unfortunately, we have to go from that to another one that's just kind of like, oh, this is a dicey topic. But it's one of the main ones here. It's that Lars Sullivan's past posts on message boards and forums where he talks a lot about this different discriminatory ideas, different racial remarks, different, let's just put it, not very politically correct comments.
He said some racist comments, which are protected under free speech, whether we like that or not. This is a fact. But WWE is a publicly traded company, and sponsors, Mars Candy was outraged by this. He's been fined $100,000.
Yeah.
David Bixenspan of Deadspin and lots of other websites reached out to WWE for comment, to which they said, he asked specifically, is he being fined for the comments, or is he being fined because he did not disclose that these comments were out there before, signing with you guys and making it known in case of any impending fires, such as the one he's currently going through. And they said simply, he's being fined for all the above. Now,
he's also supposed to be
think?
going under sensitivity training and doing community service as well.
And that was a given, because that's what, if you remember the start of Be a Star, and I will never forget this, it was a John Cena promo. It was a promo where he attacked Miz and Riley and basically accused them of, oh, you guys, after the show, you're going to cuddle up and watch The Notebook. And Glad did not like that. This is shortly on the heels of Michael Cole incidentally publicly calling Josh Matthews a faggot on Twitter. And WWE had their whole staff go through sensitivity training and started the Be a Star charity off the back of this.
Yeah.
So I think this is just an extension of that. We don't know the terms of this $100,000 fine. Are they taking this off of 1 year of payment? Is it going to be out in chunks? Like, is it, hey, we signed you for 5 years, we're going to take $20,000 off of your annual salary?
Yeah, or is it some kind of upfront payment that he's going to have to just give them $100,000?
That's
or
insane. I can't imagine a world where that's the case.
Even the possibility, which there's no foundation for this at all. It's purely just out of my head, so I'm not like implying anything as being like, oh, I've heard this or anything, because I haven't. But even the possibility that it doesn't even exist. Because there's always a chance that there could be just something that says like, yeah, we fined him $100,000, and is anybody really going to check to see if he, in any fashion, paid WWE or somebody else
these
$100,000
today? I think would,
I don't know
research
how
in
you'd
any
be
way.
able to, though, you know? Like, you can't
But
kind of
then
say, give me access to your bank account, let me check to see your transactions for the past couple of months. Like, you know what I mean?
you have the weird stories of like Vince McMahon fining Batista for bleeding in a match one time. He fined him like $50,000 up front. Like, and he had to pay this.
Well,
It's
one of the questions
odd.
I want to ask you, and this is one of those topics that I'm sure if you say the slightest wrong thing, people are going to take it in the wrong way. So let's preface everything that we're saying by saying we don't agree with what Lars Sullivan was saying on these posts.
I assume this question is going to be regarding modern day takedown culture.
To a certain extent. I mean, that's kind of what this whole thing is going to revolve around, but because there's a lot of elements to this. And one thing that I've been seeing is people saying $100,000 was too much money, and other people saying it's not too much money and he should be fired. What do you think about that?
They're up Shit's Creek without a paddle. There was no way, unless, and here's what I would have done. I would have had Braun Strowman kill him and then fire him. And I would have said, hey, we'll see you in a couple of years, if that. But I would have had Braun Strowman kill him and I would have had him fired. Because that's the only way they were going to get out with people being satisfied. Because anything else that they do is going to ruffle some feathers. Oh, you find him $100,000. Personally, I think that's a lot of money, which is why my mind immediately said, okay, you're going to take this in chunks off of his salary.
Yeah.
Because, like, I can't imagine Lars Sullivan just has $100,000 sitting around.
Yeah, especially because people aren't really taking into account he's not really a main event type of person, even though he's kind of booked to be like a big deal right now. He's not been on the main roster for a while. He's not been in any kind of main programs or anything. He was working in NXT salary, and an NXT salary is not the same as a John Cena, Randy Orton type of salary. It's just not the case. He's not making $5 million a year or something. So $100,000 is a lot of money.
And this is on the heels, and this was part of the issue on the internet, was, well, Leo Rush said this, and that, and you took him off TV just for bashing company culture. And Lars Sullivan, people feel like Lars Sullivan should be getting that kind of treatment. Here's the thing. Sullivan, they're investing a lot in him, and it's so fucking clear. You know, like, it's so clear that at some point they want him to be a world champion contender, even if it's like, as we've said on the show, a Vladimir Kozlov thing where he gets the title shot, doesn't go anywhere with it, and then he's out the door. They want him to be a contender. They don't want to throw away their investment based on comments that were made in 2011. Or it might not be 11, it might be 14.
I'm not too sure when.
I'm not sure when. I know it wasn't 10 years ago, but it's somewhere in the early 2010s. And, you know, we don't know if these truly, yeah, he gave the standard apology of these don't reflect who I am as a person now. But we don't know how true that is. But at the same time, we're only judging the athlete. Like, for me, and this isn't true for everybody, so I understand, it's easy for me to separate the art from the artist. You know, like, I don't have problems watching Benoit matches, for example. And I think with Sullivan, it's this thing of we gotta take him down. Because if you remember, Tony, this went away for a while.
Yeah.
This went away for almost a good 6 months.
And it just kind of started to come back now that he is getting
now that he's
a push
back
again
on TV. They're like, wait a minute, I want this dude taken down. And also, let's not kid ourselves. Leo Rush's controversy has a lot to do with this as well. People are mad that Leo Rush has been taken off of TV. Leo Rush is nowhere to be found right now. He's not on Raw, right? He's not on 205 Live. And I don't think that's right either, first of all. I think the long-standing traditions of handing veterans bottled water,
that's bullshit.
I'm not in the business. Listen, I'm not in the business. I would kill to be, and I can understand the the respect aspect of it, but that one in particular just sounds so ridiculous.
Well, we didn't really talk about the Leo Rush stuff before, but yeah, it's the type of thing that if these stories are true, that's why he's in hot water, it's absolutely ridiculous because you're talking about like this tradition of hazing, essentially. It's not quite, we're going to take a dump in your bag and whatever kind of thing, but it's like you are the new person. You are littler than me, and you need to humble yourself in my fucking presence. And that is not the way that things should be going anymore. Everybody that gets brought into the company should have respect for the people that they work with as coworkers, just like they should with any other capacity. But respect for a coworker isn't being the coworker's bitch,
Yeah, and I found it weird. Like Mark Henry was like, "Oh, listen, when I started, I was Yokozuna's bitch, basically." And it's just something we all had to do. The Rock did it. You think you're better than The Rock? It was a different time. And if you want to say that for every other thing, like if you want to back out the Sullivan thing, if the Sullivan supporters want to back that out by saying, "Well, it was a different time," and you can't do that same thing with Leo Rush because it was a different time and there was a different structure, and with all the HR and all the press, you're going to tell me, and I agree with Rush on this one, yeah, the sight of a skinny little black dude handing these people water isn't a good look.
And
I
what
agree.
purpose does it serve to? Is that going to help Leo Rush's career? No. Like, is he talented? Yeah. So have him go out there and do his job. His job isn't to be somebody's assistant. His job is to be a performer, the same as everybody else is. So he shouldn't have to do that. Now, if he's acting like a dick backstage and he's pissing people off and he's doing stuff like trying to, make his wife come into the scenarios that she shouldn't be hanging around and stuff, then that's when you go like, yo, dude, you're overstepping. But that's where everything's gray areas, and that's why people can't judge situations as being like, I am upset about this and everything needs to be a certain way. It's like, well, maybe everybody's wrong. Maybe Leo Rush has done some wrong things, and Leo Rush is not wrong in some ways. And here's a little bit of a soapbox moment, too. You ever have a bad day and say out loud something like, oh, I could just fucking kill somebody right now? Well,
Yep.
does that mean forever beyond that point you're always going to be a potential murderer because you didn't choose your words well and it was documented that you had said that?
That is the current culture that we're living in, pal.
I mean, that being said, if you have as many things as these message boards posts were, you can't really say Lars Sullivan had one bad day, but we don't know the guy, and maybe it was a bad month, or it was a bad year, or, people get into bad mindsets, and you have people that do stuff that, like, kids do drugs because they get into the wrong crowd, and people become criminals because of who they surround themselves with. And I think something that gets lost in translation is if we are in a culture that tries to say things the way that they used to be aren't the way that they should be, and people need to change, we need to allow room for people to change then. You can't say things need to change, but nobody ever can change if they've ever done anything that's bothersome.
No, things need to change by saying that anyone that's ever done anything bothersome needs to just be eradicated. That is what people want.
We can't just Thanos snap people. And it didn't work anyway either, That's spoilers. But if we're look at it this way, if we're going to allow Shawn Michaels to come back, even though he was a backstage problem to a lot of people, and we're not going to hold Booker T and R-Truth responsible for having done time in prison and say that they've never changed, and Triple H, he used to hold down a lot of talent, and now he helps develop talent. If we're going to say all these people can change and it was okay to let them change into better people, why can't Lars Sullivan possibly do the same thing? And we don't know that. He had a bigoted mindset, at least in the past, for sure. There's documented evidence of him typing out stuff like that. But is there evidence that still continues to this day? Maybe he learned that viewpoint was wrong and he changed. And maybe he legitimately isn't the same type of person he was. And if that's the case, then he should be allowed to move on. He should be allowed to change, because people shouldn't be like, you did this one thing that's very upsetting, and you should never have any job, and you should never be able to make any money and make a life for yourself, and you should just kill yourself, because that's horrible bullying culture.
And that is essentially what's happening here. And here's the thing. If you're going to, yes, there's documentation of him saying, him having a horrible mindset and a culture that should be more accepting. I agree with that 100%. I do not, under any circumstances, agree with if he hasn't shown any signs of racism, if he hasn't, like, acted on these beliefs of his past. Are we really going to say that, like, he shouldn't be employed? That's hard. You're going to take food off of his table? You know what I mean? Like,
right.
It's so hard to say, and I can hear people right now saying that we're defending him, and we're not.
See, that's the thing, is we're defending the possibility that he might have changed and he deserves a possibility to change. We're not defending his viewpoints, at least from back then, because
we're not defending racism. Fuck racism.
Yeah,
okay?
That's the thing. That's a fundamental, like, there should be no discussion on the fact that if you discriminate anybody for things based off of individual things, like, if I'm going to be like, hey, that person doesn't deserve this job because they're an idiot, then yeah, you need people who can do jobs based off of, their intelligence and stuff. But you can't look at somebody's, like, skin tone or their background or where they come from or anything like that and just be like, oh, terrible people and all these, like, racist kind of things and stuff, and not be in the wrong. Like, you are in the wrong there. You're an asshole. And there's no embracing that with any kind of open arms of like, well, good job, buddy, you said these horrible things. But allow people the possibility to change, And if you don't know the context of stuff, and of course we don't know Lars Sullivan, we don't know Dylan Miley is his real name, I think.
Yes.
Like, I've never met the guy. And that means equally that I've never had a conversation with him where he's proved that he is not a racist of some kind, but it also means I've never had a conversation with him where he's said anything like that. A lot of things happen behind closed doors, and you never know what people are like, even from the people that you're close to, when they act with other people. And let's put it this way, this is a more succinct way to put it. If Lars Sullivan was saying those same things today, or he said anything like that backstage, fire the guy.
Right, fire him on the spot.
If he's not, and there's the possibility that he has become more enlightened to a better viewpoint of things, how about we be a star and we let the guy try to become a better person? Because don't we want better people in the world as opposed to just, like, the death penalty for everybody who's bad?
But this is an exercise for the company in dealing with modern culture. We're all now living in a world where, whether you're a garbage man or a podcaster or the president of the United States, you are your own brand. And your brand is out there in everything that you post and everything that you say, to the degree of, if you said something back in 2011 where, people didn't like it, they will go to a sponsor for the company that you work for and message them everything that you have said. Like, that's the kind of takedown culture that I take exception to, even if the intentions are right. Look at what somebody did here. They reached out to Mars Corporation to say, hey, look who you're sponsoring, look who you're supporting. Like, it's madness.
And it's also weird, too, and this is where I defend WWE without the idea of, like, WWE has lots of issues that aren't, to be defending, but some person messages Mars and they go, hey, you've been sponsoring WWE content, and WWE employs this guy, and that guy, however many years ago, said these things on a non-WWE related thing. To a certain extent, if I were WWE, I'd be like, yeah, Mars, he didn't do this for us. Like,
yeah, like, go look at the history of every single person you've employed, see what you find.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that there's some Mars employees that are horrible people, and whether they work for the like the front line of the assembly line kind of manufacturing process, or they are, I'm sure that there's marketing people and there's business executives that are disgusting people, because that's like that for every single company and every single neighborhood, and every single family has somebody who's a piece of shit. And, it's just, that's a matter of fact. Like, and it's because there's so many things that could be offensive, and there's so many things where you can be a horrible person, because you can be somebody who's not in the slightest bit racist, but you're the type of jerk who cuts people off all the time when you're driving. Or you could be the type of person who is the nicest person in the world, and you've got a couple of heads in your fucking refrigerator because you're a serial killer. It's like, you never really know. And at the same time, you can't judge everybody for what they haven't done, and you can't judge everybody for what they've done and they apologize for, and you can't act like nobody can ever change, because if nobody can ever change, then what's the fucking point? But if Lars Sullivan actually is like this nowadays, then fire the fucking guy.
Then fucking fire. Yeah,
exactly. That's what it boils down to. So I think 100,000 is a lot.
On culture. My issue is with, by the way, I pulled up a report from The Observer. The average NXT superstar makes $80,000 a year.
So that's taking over an entire year's worth of his money.
And he's not working for free, I'm sure.
Which is, I think, if you are going to find the guy that much and whatever, and if you want to do that, if you're so worried about the image of the company, it's better to just fire him than to find him and to potentially fire him again in 6 months or something. Like, I have no investment in Lars Sullivan. I actually am not a big fan of Lars Sullivan as a performer. I think that it's a ticking clock until he ends up just as bad as everybody else that followed the same exact booking philosophies and everything. So if they were to release Lars Sullivan, I personally wouldn't be upset as far as like the entertainment side of things. But I feel bad for the guy, again, not knowing what he actually is like in real life, but I feel bad for the guy in just the idea of being like, if he has changed, you shouldn't do the whole like once a criminal, always a criminal. That person robbed somebody one time, and that means that you can never trust them ever again in any capacity. Or, I mean, it depends on the crimes and stuff too. If the person's a serial killer, Ted Bundy type, then it's like, yeah, I don't want him to be around anybody because he's probably going to kill him. But at the same time, if somebody's like, they got sent to prison because of some kind of tax evasion thing, it's like, yeah, maybe they're not the worst person in the world and they don't need to go to hell. Like, you know what I mean? It's a tough thing because it's like the people that are upset are not ever going to be happy.
Yep.
Because they wish that he wouldn't have said anything to begin with. And that would have been the ideal situation if nobody ever says anything that's offensive. Because then people aren't thinking these things that are offensive. But he said it, and you have to deal with it as, do you give him a chance to reform and kind of move on from that and try to become a better person? And if he does community service too, maybe that'll do more help than what any other harm that he possibly could have done. It's a weird thing.
Big E forgave Hulk Hogan over WrestleMania weekend, and that was like a day after they didn't even get up and applaud him at the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Big
E, by the way,
people change.
Random side note about Big E. Big E is being so entertaining with this whole, like, I'm going to come back in 2023 with bionic parts, and I'm hitting on Becky Lynch's mom and all this. Like, Big E's awesome. I love Big E.
Give him all the belts.
Make up new belts and give him to Big E. Even he doesn't even have to win them. Just get awarded it. He could just sit at home and just, like, I don't know, do videos of him, like, stroking the belt and shit. Like, I don't know. Because he would. He'd totally do YouTube videos of him, like, licking the belt or something. Yeah, the Lars Sullivan thing is strange. And there's part of me that honestly almost kind of wants him to, like, turn that into part of his character. You know what I mean? There's, like, that asshole in me that's like, it'd be kind of funny if he just went out and he was just like, I hate everybody, especially if they're different from me. Like, just kind of give him the heat, whatever. But at the same time, it's like, if he's a bad person, he'll get what he deserves.
You know what? Since we're on the bad person train, it's not on the format. You want to talk Super ShowDown?
Yeah, you know what? Why not? I forgot to add that in there. I'll add that in there now. While we're talking about it, they have announced that the Saudi Arabia show, which was supposedly rumored to be Sands of Time, which
I like that one a lot.
sounds like a Assassin's Creed subtitle or something to me. It's going to be called Super Showdown, which we had Super Showdown last year. That was the one in Melbourne.
We did not have Super Showdown without the hyphen.
Yeah, they took took the hyphen out and kept the capitalized D. So it's Super Showdown, meaning they're probably going to continue that going forward. They might be looking at that as like our new international pay-per-view kind of thing. We're going to name everything like that in the future, but I don't know. I don't like the logo. I don't hate the logo. It's just kind of pretty generic. I'm okay with that. Yeah. I think that the name is pretty generic, but I'm okay with that too. At the very least, it keeps me from having to make another different label on the website, so that's fine. And the announcements of what is going to be on there are Triple H versus Randy Orton. Seen it a million times. Not really all that interesting to me, but
I'm interested. But
it's like I like both of them. I've seen them a bunch of times. It's yay, nay at the same time. Goldberg versus Undertaker. So you got to be excited for 15 minutes of entrances, 3 minutes of a spear and a jackhammer and punches and a chokeslam and whatever. And a 50-man battle royal,
which I'm mad about.
How are 50 people going to be in the ring at the same time?
If you're gonna do a fucking 50-man match, just do another Royal Rumble. It's not like there's not precedent for it. You can't say the Royal Rumble is sacred. There's precedent, from last year. And I don't like the idea of a 50-man battle royal, because what does that mean? 20 men are going over the top in the first 5 minutes? Like, that's madness.
It's probably going to be just the biggest clusterfuck for at least like 4 or 5 minutes. Like, because everybody will just be punching each other and not being able to move. And then somebody like a Braun Strowman will come and just start dumping people, and it'll take 5 minutes for everybody to get down to where we have like 15 people in the ring. And then it'll become a match,
And I don't want to push my luck because there was 0 last year, and I'm assuming it's the same thing, but can we put stakes on this thing? Like, can we just make this for the number 1 contendership at
Extreme Rules?
Somebody, like, just something.
Or no, Stomping Grounds is the next one.
Yeah, so the winner of this faces their brand's champion at Stomping Grounds. Is that so hard? And I don't say that, as I know a lot of people on the internet say, I could book this easier. I'm not saying I can do that. I wouldn't want the creative team job. However, I do think it's simple to say, let's do a battle royal and let's put stakes on it.
See, I want the creative team job, but not in the role of not getting any of my ideas approved.
Yeah.
Because, that's the easiest thing to do, is you go with a 50-man battle royal, the winner gets a title shot. And the title shot will happen at Stomping Grounds. And in my mind, you book Baron Corbin to win. And Baron Corbin gets a title shot against Seth Rollins, and Seth Rollins beats him. But that way you get heat on Baron Corbin. He wins a match legitimately. Or, maybe somebody helps him to win, whatever. And that way he could be like, I'm whatever's favorite son, and I'm the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal winner, and a former Money in the Bank winner, and a former United States champion, and a former this, and a Golden Gloves champion, and this, and whatever. And I won the 50-man Battle Royal. Yeah, I won the largest Battle Royal in WWE history at Super Showdown to earn this championship match and whatever. And then Seth Rollins beats him. And then that's all you need,
But that's too logical for WWE.
Nah, it'll end up being something random. It'll be like Apollo Crews wins it and does nothing with it or something, like.
And as far as the Goldberg Undertaker match, I said it. As soon as they said Goldberg, they announced Goldberg will be there, Undertaker will be there, Brock will be there. I said, okay, Goldberg's going to fight one of the two. Because the money's on the table, and clearly this Saudi prince is like a mark for 20 years ago, or even like maybe 10, 15 years ago, and he wants to see Goldberg versus the Undertaker. It's like, I keep imagining him as somebody who just plays the video games, and is like, I have enough money. I want this in real life.
Yeah, he's like, how about we make the next Saudi Arabia thing WWF Warzone?
Yep.
Well, we can't be WWF anymore. We don't have that. Well, you could just call it WWF Warzone.
Yeah? And we can't call it Warzone because of where we're going. And yeah, I think you have to understand there are limits.
I didn't even think about that, but that'd be really awful. Yeah. Warzone. We're going to call it that in Saudi Arabia. That's great.
Fine, but I'm getting Goldberg versus the Undertaker.
See, now somebody out there is going to be like, he made that comment knowing that that's a joke. And it's like, no, I'm stupid. I didn't even realize I was making a joke. But if I have to apologize, no, just kidding. Yeah. But yeah, it's Undertaker Goldberg is a match that would have been fucking amazing in 1997.
Would have been amazing in 99. Would have even been amazing in 09. I'll grant them that because I think Undertaker was never better than he was in 2008, 2009. So I think they could have done it then. Right now, I don't know what you can do with it. I don't even know who wins.
I think Goldberg wins.
I think Taker wins. See,
I hope Taker wins. This will be one of those odd scenarios where I have zero expectations for this match, but I'm going to go into it being like, man, I hope Undertaker wins. Like I'm a little kid again or something.
Well, listen, you want to talk about being a little kid? I said if there's any way to do this, this is where you have, like, Kane's distracting Goldberg, right? And Sting comes down with a bat, fucking cracks the Undertaker.
Very
like,
cool.
I'll take it, because fuck it, we're never gonna see this shit again, guys. Like, we got DX and the Brothers of Destruction, and did it suck? Yes. But you know what? It was pretty cool seeing Shawn Michaels still be the anchor of a very bad match, because he's Shawn Michaels. That's the way I see it with this. And I like Triple H and Randy Orton. I'm sorry, Callum. And I'm kind of thinking if either of those two matches are going to be good, it's the Triple H Randy Orton match.
I trust a lot more in that one for sure. And you know what? As much of a clusterfuck as it's going to be, I want to see a 50-man battle royal because it's like if I threw all my action figures when I was 7 years old into the fucking match together. Just be like, yeah, they're all going to do it. It's a 900-man battle royal, whatever. Like,
that being said, this is a person who when initially coming over asked, can The Rock become the world champion? And can Yokozuna be there? So,
yeah.
You know, we know what we're getting. And I think it'll be fun.
And look, if I had the ability to make that happen too, if I could make Yokozuna come back, I would.
And you know what? If we're cards on the table, if I could have booked DX and the Brothers of Destruction, I would have too.
It's odd because I didn't love the Greatest Royal Rumble. I didn't like the fact that they did the Greatest Royal Rumble to begin with. I thought that they should have given it some other kind of tweaks and made it a different thing. But I hated Crown Jewel. And at the same time, Super Showdown's coming around here, and I'm like, this might not be all that bad.
Yeah, this might be okay, because they're not doing a Best in the World tournament with everybody from America. And they're not doing, you know, this isn't directly on the heels of a horrible tragedy. I think we can get something good out of this show.
Hopefully.
Knock on wood. Like,
yeah. But if we're talking about that, let's talk about the idea that the WWE Network has changed up the different kind of platforms that they're going to be airing on. They're not going to be supporting a whole bunch of these now. And some of them make a lot of sense to me because, you know, when things get old and outdated, it's kind of like just a built-in idea that, you know, some of these are just going to fall by the wayside. Just the same as like what they do with video games, you know. You can't find what was the name of the thing from the Sega Genesis where you had like connect your phone to the internet and then it would end up working and you could like get tips on something. Like, I can't remember. It was like Genesis Direct or something like that. Yeah, that's not going to still exist in 2019. It's just, things become obsolete and stuff. So you got to keep that in mind too. But the network is going to stop supporting on May 21st Amazon Fire tablets, Apple TV, things that are third generation or earlier, LG TVs that are from the 2016 models or earlier, which 2016 to me, that seems like that's
very
like
recent.
Very recent for them to do that because people don't buy TVs every year or anything, and that's very strange. PlayStation 3, Samsung 2016 and earlier models, Sony and Samsung Blu-ray players. That to me is very like everything. every Sony Blu-ray player is not going to be able to do this? That's crazy. Sony non-Android TVs, that's just a blanket term. So every Sony TV can't have the network work on their app? That's very strange.
Maybe like it was one of those stupid things where Sony tried to be their own developer. Like they would have their own apps and their own, and then they switched over to just everything being Android.
It could be. Windows 10's desktop app and
That's
Xbox
weird.
360. Now, the Windows 10 thing, that got me really concerned at first because I thought that it just meant you can't watch it on Windows 10.
No, they mean the App Store.
Yeah, the app thing, that's the difference. Because then otherwise I would be like, well, then I'm screwed because I have 2 Windows 10 computers, and that's where I watch my WWE Network because my TV...
That's it, guys. Smark out moment's over.
What's that?
That's it, guys. Smark out moment's over.
Yeah, just be like, all right, guess we're not going to do this anymore. But thankfully, it's like, you can still do this on the internet. Although, however, they are talking about all these things that don't get supported, yet the WWE Network is still using Adobe Flash, and Chrome does not like using that Flash stuff, and that's outdated as all hell. So they really need to get this working for this potential relaunch back in, I think it's supposed to be happening in August or so. They need to get their shit together when it comes to that. And this May 21st thing, if I were them, rather than announcing this, I would say something like, look, we're going to have this time period from May until August where we're switching over to a different platform, and these things would work better otherwise. It might not work on those other ones with the newer platform or something. I don't know how that specifically works, but yeah, I don't know. It's not good to drop that kind of stuff because they will inevitably lose subscribers from this. There will be people that watch it on a PlayStation 3 that are not going to go buy another source to watch this, and they're going to say, I guess I'm just not going to have the network anymore.
Yeah, it makes sense. First of all, like the PS3 and the 360 are being phased out by Microsoft and Sony themselves. Probably the same with the TVs, but it's just the idea. You can say, listen, this app will no longer support updates, but to take away the app completely, you're asking a lot.
Yeah, like to not have support, period. I mean, and maybe they can't. I don't know. Again, I don't know how these things work on a back end. Maybe they can't actually have it function without those updates or something. And if that's the case, I didn't read the actual report about it, so I don't know if they would use this type of term, but I don't think that they have. I would kind of put it more on the other people and say WWE Network is no longer able to service these platforms because these platforms have not updated their infrastructure and whatever. And let everybody know that it's not a matter of the WWE Network doesn't want to be a part of these things, but it's like, hey, we are more advanced than what they are willing to do. Take it up with Sony, that kind of thing.
And I think that they should just leave it going until the actual relaunch in August.
They should try at the very least.
How do you feel about the relaunch? Like the idea of a tiered structure coming to the WWE Network?
If they keep everything that what you currently have for the same price, I'm fine with it. If they want to charge an extra $5 for you to get extra things on top of that, and if they want to have an option that's $4.99 and you don't get as much, but they keep everything the way that it is right now at $9.99, I think it's good. If they try to be greedy, which a lot of companies do this, and it's the stupidest thing, and nobody seems to learn their lesson, but there's always all these companies, whether they are restaurants or manufacturers or entertainment services, they do this kind of thing where it's like, let's just take like like Kmart, for example. Kmart and Sears are like, well, we don't get a whole lot of people that come in as much anymore because people are going to Walmart, so we're going to up our prices. And it's like, yeah, that's going to get people to come in. Paying more for your shit? That's just going to make the people that are following you right now find another avenue and go elsewhere. You're going to drive people away because you're so worried about, we need to make X amount of dollars right now than to worry about staying in business. And if WWE tries to do something like, we're going to introduce this tiered platform, and now to be able to get the same amount of material you were doing before, it's going to be $14.99, people aren't going to want the network anymore. And then they're not going to have that platform.
I think they're smart enough to go, all right, we're going to leave everything the way it is right now. And I think going forward, the $15.99 will be, and you get next day access to Raw. $20.99 will be, you get access to Evolve and ICW content. I'm waiting for that in particular. I'm waiting for what other promotions are you bringing.
That is the way that they can get some more people to give some more money, because you will get people inevitably that will want to pay $20 a month because they care about that stuff. They want to see the televised house shows and all that. Somebody like me, I would be like, look, I need what we have now, and I need whatever I need for my job, but I'm not going to pay an extra $10 more per month just because I want to have like the AWA 1950 something match with so and so against so and so. I don't care about that side of things. Just as equally, if there's people out there that are like, well, I only want to watch it for the old stuff and I don't want to watch the new pay-per-views. If they want to take the $4.99 option a month, then cool, you know?
The question, Tony, is what is Dace willing to pay?
I don't know. We'll have to see about that.
Like me, on the other hand, you guys, if you follow me on Twitter, and Tony, you know me very well, I subscribed for a long time to a whole bunch of different platforms. If you tell me I don't have to subscribe to WWN because the network will give me Evolve, I'll pay that right away. I'll pay whatever for next day access, commercial-free access to Raw and SmackDown. Because for me, that would change so much. I don't see them doing that. Granted, they just signed $2 billion contracts with Fox, but it would help me so much to not have to sit through commercials. I'd be more willing to sit through their product.
And that's where the tiered platform does kind of help out to a certain extent, because you get people that are coming to it from different ideas. And some people are going to be like, man, I'll pay $50 a month because I want literally everything that I can possibly get my hands on. And then you're going to get some people that are like, $9.99 is a lot, and I don't want to spend that much. But if you give me old pay-per-views for $5, then I'll do it. And then you get people like me that are like, you give me the originals, like the specials that are on there, and you give me the pay-per-views live, and you give me 205 Live and all the other kind of stuff like that. That's what I need. Yeah. I need the old pay-per-views if I want to go back and watch them, and I need what we have now. That's basically it. And if you add the Global Wrestling Network into it, I don't fucking care. I don't want to watch TNA. Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, they just started their Impact Plus, which, by the way, it's a good service. I've often said TNA's greatest asset is their tape library. And I think WWE should have bought their tape library a long time ago. When they were looking to sell, that would have been a great addition to the network. And if they can somehow get it now, do it.
Yeah, they really should. And for that matter, Impact should sell. I mean, we talked about this before, but it's like, it's true. Just give up. Yeah.
Well, they're doing better than they were. They had to hit the reboot button 50 times, but they're doing better now than they were at any point in the last 5 years. Which is sad, but true.
Well, if we're talking networks and stuff like that, we got to talk about the idea that on Wednesday at some point, we're recording this we started this at like 6 o'clock or so, and on Tuesday. So we don't know this information yet, but AEW, All Elite Wrestling, is supposed to be announcing their TV deal possibly tomorrow.
I'm so excited about this. I tried, for a little peek behind the curtain, I tried to get Tony to move the hot tags to Wednesday afternoon or evening just to be able to say confirmed AEW is going to be on TNT. I'm of two minds about this. I like the idea that AEW is going to be on a major network. I don't watch TNT, so I wasn't aware that that's a major network, but apparently it's like the number 2 major cable network behind ironically USA. So this is a big deal. But
And I wouldn't think TNT would be. Like, I don't know any shows that are on TNT.
I know that they do the basketball games. And I know that they replay Law and Order about 50 times. That's okay, though, because so does the USA Network. And I don't know.
Is that like the secret to success? Law and Order?
Law and Order, NCIS. That's it. That's
like,
all you gotta do.
Like, should we just kind of like try to figure out how to launch our own network and also get the rights to Law and Order?
I think these podcasts would do tremendously better if we just had the little noise in the beginning of them.
Every time we switch over to a new topic, we have the gavel. Just bong bong. All right, we're gonna talk about AEW, whatever. Then we're gonna talk Percy Watson. Bong bong. Just. How is there not at this point? How is there not a Law and Order streaming service where it's all versions of Law and Order 24/7?
You know they're listening to you. You know Universal's gonna come out with that tomorrow because you mentioned it.
If you do, give me $5.
Here's the thing. I don't know how long they can go with this, with as many people who are already obsessed with the 90s, before you just go, wait a minute. This is the fucking ghost of WCW just coming back. It's a promotion on TNT. They've got Chris Jericho. It's run by a member of the Rhodes family. And they were almost called, realistically, this was on the latest Being the Elite, they were almost called WBW. World's Best Wrestling.
Oh, that would have been awful.
So that's the original name that Tony Khan had. Matt Jackson revealed that Tony Khan said, the first people that he spoke to were me and my wife. And he said, WBW, World's Best Wrestling, which plays only into one thing, and that's that they wanted CM Punk. That's who Tony Khan wanted. So best in the world, World's Best Wrestling.
Imagine how, like, fans chant EC dub. That would have been dub be dub.
It's like, wait, what about the Warner Brothers?
It'd be like dubby dub, dubby dub. Like, that would have been an awful chant.
And then Matt Jackson said, we need the word elite in there if we're going to be investors, because people know our brand and it will get eyes. How about World Elite Wrestling? And then Matt Jackson said, well, finally we decided on All Elite because we figured All In and Elite, merging those brands together would be the best source for our unified brand. And World's Best Wrestling, WBW, would have been even worse. It would have been like, oh my god, this is WCW part 2. Like,
it's funny that they didn't go with Elite World Wrestling, because then it would have been ew.
Ew. I'm excited. I love the idea of All Elite Wrestling. However, I'm not naive, and our generation has been promised the second coming so much that there's still that voice in the back of my head that says, this could be Impact.
Yeah,
it could be.
I'm getting progressively more and more nervous about it, and I'm excited to see Double or Nothing, even though I don't know like anything about any of the people, and you can tell that by the predictions page on smarkoutmoment.com, because it's basically like, so this guy's teaming with this guy, fighting this guy and this other guy. I think those guys are going to win. I'm like, I know Trent Beretta. It's like that kind of thing.
Next week is going to be so much fun when we do the preview for this show, and it's just me and Callum like talking, and Tony, what do you think?
And I'm going to be like,
I like Goldust.
Yeah, I mean, spoiler alert, it's going to be like, all right, here are the people in the 21-man battle royal. It's this one, don't know him. 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 MJF, oh, that's the douchebag, right? Yeah, I like that guy. This one, don't know him. This one, don't know him. Okay, who do you think's going? I don't know. MJF.
But we'll know much more tomorrow. We're sorry that we can't, tell you everything now. They're going to be announcing it supposedly at MSG, which, Tony, you're in New York. Go sit outside MSG, see if you see a young buck, and just say, okay, confirmed.
Just like stand out there the whole day and be like, so did you see anybody? I saw the hot dog guy, and I see a bunch of families looking confused. Oh, there's the young buck.
All right, confirmed. But yeah, I'm excited. I think more wrestling on TV is a good thing. I try to look at this from the younger me perspective of like, yes, I'm jaded now, and I don't keep up with much of it now. But me as a child would be all over this. You know, you've got so much content now, and it's so easily accessible, and I think we need to praise that. However, I do want to talk about their pay-per-view prices because that's upsetting quite a few people.
You know what's really kind of strange? It seems like we are very much in 1993, 94 right now.
Yeah.
Where there's this, I mean, WCW wasn't a brand new company, but it was like, that's when they were really starting to like get some steam. And it's like, well, AEW is kind of doing that. And WWE is in this weird transitional phase where it's like, well, we know what we're doing and we don't need to change. And it's like, all right, well, ratings are going down and people aren't paying as much attention and whatever. And it's like, we're just doing that cycle again.
I know what we'll do. We'll hire back Bruce Pritchard. And I love Bruce Pritchard, but like that plays into what you're saying. We're just seemingly reliving that time. And again, for kids today, it's gotta be fucking great. Kofi Kingston's gotta be their Bret Hart, you know?
Yeah.
To a much less extent because women's wrestling wasn't as popular. Becky Lynch is Alundra Blaze, you know? It's really cool. And I'm trying to just get more into it from a youthful fan perspective because I can tell you everything that's going to go wrong with All Elite Wrestling because of what I know. But let's not look at it like that, you know. Let's just have a good time with it. Now, these pay-per-view prices, Double or Nothing it's a regular pay-per-view. It's on in demand and all the cable networks for $59.99.
And that sucks.
That does suck. I've been very open about the fact that I would watch more Impact pay-per-views if they weren't $40. But here's the thing. I think you have to realize that no promotion should be doing this. And I'm not going to sit there and say that, like, don't pay the $60 because you should support to an extent. But no promotion, when every WrestleMania ever is $10, should be doing $60 pay-per-views. If it's going to be on Fight for a cheaper price, hey, maybe that's the excuse to do it on the Fight Network. But I don't know, man. $60 for a pay-per-view? What about these weird rumors that they're going to be just streamed on Facebook?
I don't buy into a lot of that stuff, but at the same time, you never really know.
How much would that change the wrestling landscape if you could, say, order a pay-per-view on YouTube?
And I certainly wouldn't do it. Especially not like Facebook, the way that, like, the Mixed Match Challenge, that was awful on Facebook. Like, they could never get that to stream correctly.
Yeah. And I'll tell you this right now, I waited for that every day on the network. I would never watch it on Facebook.
Yeah, envious. I always had to do the live coverage.
But, you know, I'm excited for All Elite Wrestling. I know that we differ on this because you just can't keep up because you're so wrapped up in the WWE bubble. But it's going to be refreshing. And refreshing is always good.
Yeah, I don't know how much I'll be able to dedicate to it once they got a TV show, because I don't know if I will literally even have the time. But at the same time, just being able to watch a pay-per-view where I don't know every single nitpicking goddamn detail about things will be like a whole different experience for me. Just the same as it was for All In. All In was different and fun.
Yeah.
We have what? 1, 2, 3 more hot tags to talk about? Yeah, so let's go random here. Percy Watson is no longer going to be a commentator for WWE. He's leaving his job and he's going to get into acting. And replacing him is going to be Beth Phoenix.
I'm so fucking okay with this. You have no idea. Percy Watson, I'm sorry. I thought he was a great character on the second season of NXT back in 2010. He's fucking awful on commentary. And, like, I get that, you know, everybody works hard at their craft, and I'm not trying to knock somebody too much, but damn it, I never liked him. Like, it never clicked for me, and I'm glad he won't be there. I don't think they need 3 people, but if you're gonna have a third person, Beth Phoenix is a better third than Percy Watson. However, I do think that this is indicative of they're replacing the mandatory quirky third black guy with the mandatory third woman.
Yeah, it's almost like you've got the like the two white generic dark-haired guys, and then the third one is the miscellaneous option.
Yeah, because what do you got? You've got Renee on Raw, got Byron on SmackDown, got Aiden English, of all people, on 205 Live. Is that a 3-man booth or a 2-man booth? Yes.
That's a 2-man, I think.
No, McGinnis does that too, doesn't he?
Oh, is that just like the 3 white dudes?
It's McGinnis, Vic Joseph, and Aiden English.
Oh, well, all right, so they need to change that around then if they want to do this whole quota thing. But, I mean, let's put it this way. The quote idea, we're making fun of the idea. We're not saying that it's a bad thing that they're doing certain things like that, but it's like, I don't know. I mean, I like that they're trying out new things like that, but yeah, Percy, I kind of echo the same thing that you were saying. I liked Percy Watson. I really, really liked the idea that they were trying him out as a commentator. When they first announced that, I was like, great, this is fantastic. Percy is a guy that I think could do that. And it's been long enough that we know that it's just not going to work out. And that's a shame, because if that would have been something that he would have been particularly great at, then I think that would have been an amazing way to utilize him going forward. But like, I would think that maybe somebody like a lot of people talk about like Edge would be a great commentator, and you know what? I don't think that Edge would be able to be a great commentator either. Like, commentating is a completely different thing from wrestling, and whether you are Mick Foley or MVP or CM Punk or Paige, like, just because you can talk doesn't necessarily mean that you can commentate.
One of the best examples of this was in the brief period in 2001, which we'll be covering soon on 2001 Wrestling Odyssey. They tried Arn Anderson, and Arn Anderson's a great promo. Shitty commentary. It's just that simple. However, I will say Punk was fantastic. And I think The Miz will be a good commentator. And if he wanted to go down this route, clearly he doesn't, because he's got way too many irons in the fire. Chris Jericho has the chops to be a good commentator. I don't think Edge would be good. Or like Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels sucks at commentary. I love Shawn, but he's not good.
He's not a commentator. Like, you have to have that type of skill set. That's why Mauro Ranallo is so great, and why, Mike Adamle wasn't. And it's just, it is what it is. Like, Percy Watson leaving, that's a shame that he didn't do a better job and work out better and all that, but at least he's leaving because he wants to get into acting, as opposed to he's leaving because, like, they're firing him or something. Yeah.
You know what I would do is I would make Shawn Michaels the GM of NXT and put Regal back in that spot. I think Regal's fantastic at whatever he wants to do, and I think Shawn Michaels has always been good in that commissioner/GM role.
I always thought that JBL would be a great one, and he was for the littlest bit. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's one of those things that, like, now we've seen enough of Beth Phoenix that I know that she's not my favorite, but at the same time that she's not incapable. So once she starts doing this on a more regular basis, then that can end up being really, really advantageous, And at the very least, it's something different.
And she's being post-produced. She's being, you have more time. It's a little more serious than on the main roster, where you've got to kind of throw in these weird quips. She can just focus on the in-ring action. It'll be interesting.
And she's working with Mauro, which is
Mauro's the best.
Different than working with Michael Cole, and different than working with Corey Graves and Renee Young. And every team has a different dynamic to it. Tom Phillips is very much like the backup Michael Cole, but he's still not Michael Cole, Like, everybody's got their different things. So what she'll learn from being with this group is going to be different from what she's learned before. And hopefully I see Percy Watson popping up in different movies,
I'll be honest. I think the best, in terms of chemistry, the best team they have right now, it's Phillips, Graves, and Saxton. Because they all seem like genuine buds that want to rip on each other. And we're going to talk about a match in a minute that featured commentary from Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby Heenan, and they had that chemistry of we're just buds and we're gonna rip on each other. And I would be totally fine with Phillips, Graves, and Saxton calling everything.
Yeah, because you look at like Graves and Cole and Renee, and it just seems like they're three parts of a different puzzle. Like the pieces might fit, but it's not creating a picture.
Like Graves and Renee, they try to get a good rhythm going, and then Cole, not through his own will, through, the headset, has to steer it so straight that it's, it comes off more annoying than anything else. And yeah, I don't know. I like the SmackDown team.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what happens with NXT, and we will probably, I think, see that this week. I think is when they are starting that.
Yep.
So we'll see that right then. Let's talk about Bray Wyatt, because people are going to be asking for it, I'm sure. And I thought that we might end up getting into this on like the mailbag or something, but the mailbag, by the way, everybody, when that comes up, is going to have to be like really condensed, because WWE has so many different events and everything that we're going to have to do the mailbag along with the takeover predictions. So
I thought we were doing the mailbag along with the Double or Nothing predictions.
Was it that one? I don't remember for sure now off the top of my head. I thought it's one of them. No, it's
the point is there's too much going on, guys.
No, predictions for Double or Nothing are next week, and then on May 29th is when we're going to record mailbag and takeover predictions, and then because then takeover is June 1st, and then after that we're going to do the Saudi Arabia ones, predictions for that. Then we got 1 week, and then we got switching over to Stomping Grounds and Fighter Fest and the other mailbag and all that. So mailbag, when we do that 2 weeks from now, is going to be a much, much more condensed version. So if you send in 20 questions, we might pick 5 of them, or like that kind of thing. So send in as many as you can, but at the same time we're not going to pick all of them, and I'll backlog them and try to get into them the next time too around and stuff like that too. So this is one of the things that I thought we might talk about on the mailbag, but I think it's better to just talk about right now, which is the Firefly Funhouse and Bray Wyatt's quote unquote change in character. I really liked the Firefly Funhouse up until this point, and now I don't like it anymore. He's got a mask. Okay, he's the darker guy. Saw that one coming. It's, to me, this reads as, wouldn't this be a fun way to reintroduce the same exact character that we've seen for years? And there's no difference. He's got a slightly different look. He's got different ring attire. He's got a new coat, and he's got a fucking mask. Same Bray Wyatt. I already don't care. I already lost all investment in it.
First of all, let me say the production, great. I think that he's one of the last few characters that they bothered to try this production kind of stuff with. And I like the concept for a new character, for an incoming character. I'm just going to throw this name out there for Punishment Martinez. If they were going to repackage him with a new gimmick that's kind of like this schizophrenic, two-faced kind of character, I'd be so into that. But Bray Wyatt is a former WWE champion. And for me, this is coming across like the 10th evolution in, 5 years he's been on the main roster? And this comes across like it's just been so long where they don't know what to do with Bray Wyatt, even though in the 5 years that he's been there, he's feuded with Cena. He's feuded with The Rock. He's been a WWE champion. I don't think he needs to be going through this identity crisis. I think Bray Wyatt with the rocking chair and with Harper and Rowan was perfectly fine. More than perfectly fine. I think it was one of the best gimmicks in the last decade. Again, this is cool, but now I'm just like, all right, who's he fucking in the ladder match? And then, is it going to be, or is he going to, give me a name in the ladder match, Randy. Is he going to take out Randy for burning down the house? And then it's going to be anybody but you, Randy. I haven't forgotten what you did to me, But I do think we're going to see some schizophrenic elements. Like, 1 week he'll be like, hey, buddy, Randy, what's going on, man? Yowie, wowie, wow. Looks like somebody beat you up bad last week. Oh, that was me? Oops, I'm sorry. Like random shit like that. But it'll be good. I don't know. Good as it can be.
See, and this is that whole, like, again, I mean, we say this quite a bit, but it's important to preface things with it. The WWE writing team could be absolutely awful, or they could be amazing, and we have no idea because we don't know what ideas are being shot down and stuff. And if I had the tools and I had the creative control and I could do this and whatever and not have my ideas shut down and stuff, if somebody were to pitch me the very first Firefly Funhouse and say, where do we go from here? I would be like, you know what would be really interesting to me? Keep this going. And that is his character, where he literally comes out in the fucking sweater and he comes out as like this Mr. Rogers type guy where it's always kind of creepy. But it's the trick being that it's kind of creepy, not that it's like hitting you over the head with this Joker mask thing where it's like, okay, I get it, you're supposed to be a fucking monster kind of thing. From you might as well be literally any slasher movie character from any horror film, and I don't care already because now it's the same as like some indie film creators, like I've got the next Halloween and it's gonna be called Smiley Face. And and that's going to be the next Scream character or whatever. He's going to be the next Freddy Krueger, and it's like, I don't care. But if you would have had like, there's something kind of off with this Mr. Rogers type guy, especially because we know what he used to be and all that, which then maybe doesn't even manifest. Maybe he's not even fighting baby faces. Maybe he's fighting heels, and you're like, am I supposed to cheer this guy? Like, is this, like, he's fighting a heel Mojo Rawley, but he's creepy. That, I think, would be so much more interesting than just 3 weeks of this creepy thing and then, haha, I got a mask on now.
I'm going to throw something at you.
Okay, so Bray Wyatt's going to come out with the mask, and he's going to have a slightly changed entrance, and then he's going to wrestle the same exact way that he did before. It's Kane carrying the hook and then going back to the same mask Kane.
I looked at that mask and I said, that looks a lot like the Buzzard. Do you think he's going to have different personas based on the different Firefly Funhouse characters? Like, we already saw, even though it was completely dropped off the face of the earth, that he was going to be Sister Abigail. And now this thing looks like a Buzzard. What if they're trying to do the 3 faces of Foley without any kind of, like, with Foley it was different because they all had a reason, Who knows?
I thought that the Rambling Rabbit was supposed to be Matt Hardy. Like, I thought that it was, Mercy the Buzzard was the original Bray Wyatt. Sister Abigail was when he started to get more into the, like, cult kind of side, because the Buzzard thing was like from the very beginning, and that was like the Wyatt family was always a cult, but it wasn't a supernatural cult,
Yeah.
So
he was kind of just like a
swamp like a
people,
bayou,
right?
creepy bayou guy, yeah. So that was like Mercy the Buzzard to me. And then Sister Abigail was like, hey, I've got this like supernatural possession power thing. And then I am the Rambling Rabbit with Matt Hardy, and then the Buzzard kills him, and now I'm going back to the Bayou guy or whatever. But then you just have this Joker mask, and it's like, okay, so you checked out Scott Snyder's Joker.
I would have been more into face paint. Because at least, like a very intricate face paint job, because at least it would be him. With a mask, it kind of seems like you run the risk of Kane at Crown Jewel kind of mishaps, where if the mask falls off, there goes the fun.
Oh, I don't think he's even wearing the mask when he's wrestling. I think he's literally wearing the mask in the entrance and then taking it off and wrestling the same as he did.
No, I think he has to wear the mask in the ring. I would hope so.
It's a creepy mask. I'll give them that. Like, I'm sure there's
And
kids
then,
that are watching right now that are freaked out.
but then they showed, like, it's a direct rip of a Joker mask, and it's just like, oh, fuck. Like, damn it, now it feels unoriginal.
It's 100%. I like Scott Snyder's Joker mask. Can you do that? Kind of like how Sting became like Joker Sting, and it was like, oh, so you watched Heath Ledger, huh?
It's literally Heath Ledger's Joker, yeah.
So that's like, it sucks because like this was something that I was interested in, and I was like, this could go somewhere, and then they went with the exact same thing I thought that they would, which was, it's not going to go anywhere.
Damn.
Thumbs down. Now, the final thing we're going to talk about here is the special for the WWE Network. Usually it's something like Ride Along or Table for Three. This time around it was Holy Grail, the search for WWE's most infamous lost match. About a match from 1986 between Bret Hart and Tom Magee that I had never heard of before until...
Really?
I literally had never heard of this thing until I read the reports about StarCast.
Wow, I heard of this match. It was from a Bret interview a while ago, where it's literally, like he said on this interview, where this guy was being hailed as the next Hulk Hogan, and it's because, Bret can fucking sell. And then you just, like, the mind starts to wander, and there's so much folklore on the internet about, imagine this Mega Man Magee, like, would he have been the big star instead of Ultimate Warrior? Would he, it's a really interesting story, and I have to admit, I know we're gonna differ here. I liked the special a lot. It felt like just a really quaint thing. Like, this is what I subscribe to you for, to give me random wrestling stories like this.
See, actually, we're not going to differ on that. I liked the special.
Okay, good.
I thought that it was interesting. Like, I have no interest in Tom Magee. I'd never heard of him before. I thought that the match itself was, like, not all that good. But from back in the day, it was impressive because he's doing things that are actually more athletic. And I have no context of being like, well, if he would have feuded with this person, then I would have made a big difference and whatever. But at the same time, it's like, this is what the WWE Network should be. It should be filling you in on things that you don't know and reliving the past in a way that you can get different perspective on things and getting different perspective on the current stuff and whatever. Like, that's why, even though I don't watch them, that's why I like stuff like the Fallout videos, because that adds an extra layer on top of things. And if they would have just released the match itself, it would have been 8 minutes of me being like, that's it? This is this big match that everybody gives a shit about? I don't care. But you have other people talk about this legend of, like, that's the tape that they couldn't find in these tape trading communities. And Harry Smith has a fucking amazing Bret Hart impression.
Sure does.
Like, that's so good. Like, that you need to bring that up with him. It's weird that's, like, I said, I never had heard of this Mega Man Tom Magee thing, and I also thought it was funny that people were saying that he was like this handsome dude, because I'm like, different time. Yeah, I thought this was interesting. I think it's worth checking out. It's about 28 minutes long, I think, so you get a half an hour. You want to put that on while you're eating dinner or something like that. It's a cool little bit of wrestling past.
We are going to differ in this. I loved the match simply because I said this on Twitter. It's like a love note to days gone by. You hear Bobby Heenan and Gorilla Monsoon on commentary, and the first thing you hear is Bobby Heenan go, "Tom Magee, is that the guy that jumped off this building that one time?"
That was
no,
Bobby
that was
Magee.
Bob Magee. Yeah, they're just like, that's funny. And then it's Bret being Bret, guys. It's Bret taking a turnbuckle the way only Bret Hart can. That makes it look like, holy shit, this Tom Magee must have the strength of the Incredible Hulk. And then Tom Magee doing backflips in an era, and for context, this is pre-Steamboat Savage even. So work rate and athleticism wasn't even there yet. So that's why the audience just blows every time this dude flips. And then Bret Hart goes to the outside. I don't know if you caught this. And this one fan.
Yeah. This one, like, I don't know, he looked like he was like 15 or something at the time. I don't remember like if he was like around like parents or anything like that, but he's just flipping him the bird.
That's so good. Cause like you know that if this match had been aired in '86, there's no way the camera would have followed Bret that far and all that. But man, it was just so good. And the last thing I really liked, every hold that Tom Magee knew was a pinning predicament. You know why? Because it was the logic and philosophy of you should always be trying to win the match. And literally, he did 4 moves. He did an arm drag, a sunset flip, the O'Connor roll, which he won the match with, and then of all the moves, like he's got Bret in like a front face lock, and you think he's gonna throw him or suplex him, and he hits him with a fucking small package. And it was just hysterical to me. I loved it.
He's got the jump off the ropes. He's got the cartwheel. Like, he was doing stuff that even Bret wasn't really being flashy.
That match was long, by the way.
Yeah, especially for that time frame.
For an 86 match, which, by the way, it doesn't start when the bell rings. Like, you're in there mid-match, and you still get a good, like, 7 to 10 minutes in the ring, which was really surprising. Another favorite thing of mine is the idea that Tyson Kidd's in developmental, and he's like, okay, so you got the Bret Hart Tom Magee match, and nothing. You know, just like the idea that this is just lost to time, and then because Bret's secretary knew a longtime fan who could convert VHS to DVDs, well, that's it. The match is found.
Yeah, it's crazy how that stuff happens.
You know, I want to see more of that, by the way. They showed, one of the tapes they showed was Bret and Flair in an hour-long Iron Man match at a house show. I want to see that. Like, I want to see more of this stuff on the network. And Bret Hart's indifference to the matter was very funny to me, because it's very Bret Hart. Like,
I was going to say it's very Bret Hart that he would be like, yeah, I wrestled Tom Magee. Yeah, it was pretty good.
And they're like, so do you want to see the match? And he's like, nah. Do you have it? And they're like, yeah. It's like, oh, okay, I'll watch the match.
Yeah, I'm here already. Yeah, I don't have to leave for another hour and a half. It's just have some time to kill. That's 4 out of 10.
And okay, nothing ever came of Magee, but I definitely think this dude would have been the Ultimate Warrior, only more athletic. And they would have had to change the name Mega Man, I'm sure, for obvious copyright reasons. When did the game come out? Do you know when the first Mega Man was released?
It had to be sometime around then. It couldn't have been that much afterward, at the very least.
Because I can totally see them wanting to just drop the Tom Magee and call him Mega Man. You know?
Well, you could probably get away with it if it was one word, because Mega Man is 2. Okay, first one was December 17th, 1987.
Oh, so they might have actually beaten Mega Man to the punch.
And if they would have trademarked or whatever Mega Man Tom Magee, then Mega Man might not have been Mega Man in the United States, because it's Rockman in Japan.
Yeah,
so
they would have just transformed him over to Rockman.
Yeah.
God, that's one of those fun butterfly effect kind of things.
That's in an alternate universe that's going on right now. There's
in an alternate universe, Rockman Tom Magee has a statue in the WWE Performance Center.
No, in like Earth 2, we are talking about how one of the best video game soundtracks is Rockman, and isn't it interesting how the follow-up to Hulk Hogan was Mega Man Tom Magee? Whatever happened to that Intercontinental Champion Bret Hart? Yeah.
Wow, yeah.
I like Earth 1 better.
I do too. You know, we can't change history. I do think it's interesting that this is well before even Savage gets handpicked. You know, like, and this is right in the era of Hulkamania. You know, this isn't like, okay, it's 89 and we need a new guy. This is 86. So it's interesting that Vince McMahon was already thinking at that point, all right, we got to replace Hogan.
Amazing how being a futurist helps, and saying that you can't change things and whatever doesn't.
Yeah.
Well, those are the hot tags for the week, everybody. Thank you for listening to this. We're going to just round things out with some information that you should be aware of. If you are listening to us on YouTube, then be sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't done that already, and ring that little bell for the notifications. If you are on other platforms that are audio only, like iTunes or Stitcher or Spotify or Google Play, then leave us some kind of a review or a star rating or whatever they have on those platforms. And if you want to drop a comment, then you can't do that as well on YouTube, but you can do that on the page on smarkoutmoment.com. While you're over there on smarkoutmoment.com, check out the other articles and the other things that we have happening over on the site. We've got the TeePublic and Redbubble shops if you want to pick up merchandise. If you want to donate to the Patreon, you can do that, patreon.com. That's at smarkoutmoment. Got the same things going on for Fanboys Anonymous. So it's fanboysanonymous.com and the YouTube channel and Facebook and Twitter and all that. Just the same as if you want to follow us on Facebook and Twitter on Smarkout Moment. They're both at Smarkout Moment. We have the upcoming Double or Nothing predictions is the next main thing that we're going to be getting for next week. But this week, we have to go into Money in the Bank predictions. So that's going to be coming up tomorrow. And then, of course, after that, it's going to be the Money in the Bank pay-per-view post-show. So stay tuned for those things. And everything else that we can find out that's going on, you will find out by just clicking around and seeing the updates and following all the other kind of stuff and getting the stuff by proxy. So those are my side of plugs outside of the idea of just checking me out on my own personal stuff and my freelance stuff on EWN and Bleacher Report. But what else do you want to toss out here?
So you can check out all my stuff on eWrestling News and the Ring Report, and I'll get to WrestleZone in a minute. But eWrestling News, very excited to announce that this coming Friday, I'll be interviewing a man we just talked about, Davey Boy Smith Jr., a.k.a. Harry Smith. That is through MLW, and I'm very excited to talk to him. If you want to check out everything else I'm doing, Wednesday we have the Money in the Bank preview. Thursday we have Yummy in the Bank, because over on the WrestleZone Facebook page for WrestleZone Daily, there will be a video game stream of Yummy in the Bank. This is going to be 2 streamed matches from WWE 2K19. It's a Money in the Bank ladder match tagged Yummy in the Bank, which will feature Colonel Sanders, Wendy, Grimace, the Chick-fil-A Cow, the Noid, and Ronald McDonald. And the winner of that gets a free coupon for a championship match. Who's the champion? Well, it'll either be the Coca-Cola Bear or the Whiskey Bear. This is a really random and ridiculous thing we're doing over at WrestleZone's Facebook. I worked very hard on it all weekend, so come check it out and support Thursday at about 6 p.m. Eastern. So do that. Support that. At Dude Felice on Twitter and Instagram. I'm working on launching a website so that I'll have a singular hub. Sadly, I don't have a cool last name like Mango, so it won't be a mango tree. But, I'm working on a whole bunch of stuff, and thank you for supporting. And if Callum Wiggins was here, he'd remind you, 2001 Wrestling Odyssey is up on our podcast feed. There's episodes for January, February, March, April, and the WrestleMania 17 exclusive episode. So check all that out. Thank you for your support. And I will turn it over to Tony, who I want to remind you all is a beautiful woman.
That is very true. And sometimes you just need to hear that.
That's right.
Well, that is going to be it for these hot tags, episode 389. Thank you for listening and all your support, everybody. We will see you next time in the Money in the Bank predictions for 2019. Adios for now, everybody. This has been another Smark Out moment, and we're being counted out.